So y'all know how people are always talking about how the early church did things, how they did this or how they did that. The way we talk about it, I wonder, do we even really stop to think about how the early church is doing things and what that must really look like? I know for me, whenever I would read about the early church setting, or I would hear someone talking about it, saying that they did this or that they did that, I would imagine our current church setting, only the people would be dressed in robes or togas. And I mean, honestly, it probably was a whole minute before I realized that picture of the early church was probably not an accurate picture of the early church. So if you're like me and you've always been curious about the early church setting and what that must have really looked like, we're going to talk about the archaeological find known as the Megiddo Church. So the Megiddo Church is this really early Christian structure.
And honestly, y'all, it's more floor than it is structure.
What it is primarily is it's a mosaic floor that's been preserved. It's kind of a rare find. It was found in a rescue operation as they were building a prison, the Israeli government. Because they preserved it by laying this layer of pottery down, broken pottery. He preserved it for us to see today, which is really cool.
And once it was found, archaeologists were able to identify this as a Christian space based on 3 key features: the fish, the table, and the inscriptions. So within this space, there are 4 mosaic panels. Okay, wait, just in case you don't know what a mosaic is.
A mosaic is a picture or a pattern created by using small materials like glass or metal or broken pottery or broken plates or mirrors, or like what we see at the Megiddo Church, tiny little rocks. These 4 panels are made up of hundreds of tiny little colorful rocks.
So within one of the panels, there's this mosaic depiction of these 2 fish. Now, fish were a secret symbol for the early church, partly because of their connection to the miracles performed by Jesus, but also because of the Greek word ichthus.
Okay, so the Greek word ichthus means fish, but what the early church did was use the word ichthus as an acrostic.
When you look at the first letters in Greek, it would be Jesus Christos, Theos Huios Soter.
And once we break that down in English, we have Jesus, Christ, God's Son, Savior. And this is why we can use fish to help us identify this as a Christian space.
Now, in the center of this room, there are these 2 stone slabs. Because of one of the inscriptions, we know that these are the remains of a communion table.
The trapeza, that's what it's called in Greek, the table. And that, of course, is the Lord's table.
And this helps us identify this as a Christian space because communion was a very key element of early Christian gatherings.
Now, if you ever go look this up and research this, you'll find that scholars use the term Eucharist table. But baby, where I come from, we call it a communion table. So I'm gonna just call it a communion table because we basically saying the same thing. Now, there are 3 mosaic inscriptions in this space. And all of them are like shout outs to various people who contributed to this space in some way. But the one I want to tell y'all about is the one they call the Akeptus inscription.
So the Akeptus inscription is written in Greek, but when translated in English, it says, "The God-loving Akeptus has offered the table to God, Jesus Christ, as a memorial."
Now, if you couldn't tell before that this was a Christian space, you can definitely tell now. And what's really tight about this inscription is that it is the earliest mention of Jesus as God outside of the Bible. Now, I'm going to let y'all process all that we've said, but we got to talk about the dates.
Next time on Just So You Know.
With the Megiddo Church, we get a great picture of what the early church setting would have looked like prior to Constantine.
It is the first time we have archaeological evidence of Christ being called God.
So if you're looking for more information, check out these resources.